DreamHack ASTRO Open is brought to you by ASTRO, Monster Energy, Corsair, Zowie, and Intel.
Denver is home of the Denver Broncos football team, the Denver Nuggets basketball team, the Colorado Rockies baseball team, and last but not least, the Colorado Avalanche NHL hockey team. The Mile High City, because Denver is very high above the sea level, it sits about 5,280 feet above that. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it's not the only thing really high up around here. So are the hearts and minds of these players going into our next matchup. We're going against Big and Mouse, and I can tell you these guys vying for the last spot in the semifinals that we will be awarding today here at the DreamHack ASTRO Open in Denver. Whew. Now, with that being said, thanks, appreciate it, guys. Going into this one, we just saw a stomping of Cloud9 and Renegades, but what can we anticipate here?
I would think this should be a bit closer. I mean, I think we even thought that the Cloud9 Renegade games, you can never really expect a 16-1, right? Unless you have like a pro league team playing against, a team from like Open or something like that. Yeah. But typically you expect games to be a bit more competitive, especially in winners matches like this. So I would hope that this would be a better contest.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be too close, but I do think it will be better than a 16-1. I mean, it's hard to get worse than that.
It is hard to top a 16-1, maybe a 16-0, but nonetheless. We're going to take a look at these groups real quick to kind of show you guys at home, or if you're just joining us, how these teams got here in the first place. Cloud9, 16-4 over Tempo Storm earlier in the day. Then we see them finish the Renegades' hopes of securing a semifinal spot today with a 16-1 quick victory on Train. But we'll take a look at the CLG Renegades path there real quickly and see that turned out to be a fight by itself. Either way, flipping over to Group B, we've got Mousesports, we've got Big. It's our last match of the day, the last winner's match at that, guys.
Yeah, and I'm just going to go ahead and say I'm pretty confident in Mousesports here. Even though Big had a very good performance on Cobble, I don't know that it's something that they can continue to do. I don't think all the players on that team are going to keep firing like they were. I expect Tabson to probably even step it up even more because he wasn't really, in the forefront like he usually was in that match. So I think Tabson will probably do better, but I think the rest of the team level is going to go down. I think that match might have been just like a one-off.
Yeah, you don't expect Gabi and Leggy to be putting up numbers like that again, especially against the skill level that Mousesports has. And I mean, Gabi said it himself in the post-game interview, like they've left a lot to be desired after their major performance, right? Like things have gone really awry since then. They didn't follow up well at Mykonos. Some other online, qualification situations have not gone very well either. Meanwhile, Mousesports, the only blemish on their record right now was that group stage exit to Immortals at E-League Premier. Outside of that, they won Mykonos. They took care of business at ROG against Gambit. So, and we know that they have the firepower, right? Like I said, you had Oscar dropping plus 96 in Greece. I mean, that's pretty ludicrous, to be quite honest. And there's other guys to back him up, like a Sunny, like some of these other guys who are also quite skilled.
Yeah, it's kind of baffling when he's on fire just how electrifying he can be inside of the server. You're going to see him on your screen right now. A stone cold killer really getting ready to get in there and dome some heads, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah, and then the young Estonian talent. This guy went from a no-name to a rank S prodigy to winning titles very quickly. This guy has pinpoint accuracy, super sick to watch, especially in a POV.
Yeah, seemingly haven't gone through the system the appropriate way in terms of, come up through the ranks, and now you're going to find yourself on the stage here. And, he's not even the only player. We talked a little bit about Rico today over at Energy in terms of finding their way to the big stage now. Now, not all of these guys are new. Some of these guys, veterans within this. We just saw Chris J. We do know what he's capable of and has been known for in the past.
Yeah, Chris J's been around since 1.6. This guy goes back quite a ways. One of the old guard in the scene still. And Stiko, I'm not really sure when he came about, but his name since learning about it has been nothing but top tier performances. This guy is a killer.
Yeah, very young guy. I think he's 21, and of course from Slovakia. And he came over, from Hellraisers. He's having to play a whole new role for Mousesports. He had a tough adjustment period at first, but played really well at ROG. Had a really good first map there on Nuke, so hopefully he'll continue to do good things. And yeah, a good point about Chris J. I mean, he's in-game leading for this team now. He's had to make a lot of adjustments in his own right to make room for guys like Oscar and to take over when they lacked leadership. And I think that he still found ways to be effective in the sense that he can kind of sacrifice himself to kind of set up a guy like Sonny or Oscar's AWP. But at times he can also be kind of an effective entry guy. So I think he's still finding ways to make his presence known on the server.
Well, the big people in the room, and by big people in the room, I mean this next lineup we're going to look at next: Legia, Gabi, Tapson, and Kiev. Guys, what do we know about big?
Well, Tapson is a superstar talent.
Tapson.
Just going to be honest. He's superstar talent. This guy always performs, even against Tier 1 competition, even in a team that isn't, let's be honest, near his level.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because he's been around for a while playing in kind of some lesser-known teams in the German scene, but it really wasn't until he filled in for Energy at a tournament that I think you were at. Was it the game show or something like that? It was like one of those smaller tournaments in early 2016.
At that, but I know which one you're talking
Lithuania.
about.
It was the Global Game Show.
Global, yeah.
Did he? Really?
Yeah, so he stood in, I think, for Peter, right? Because Peter had the leg injury on plane or something like that.
Most bizarre stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, he stood in for them at that event, did really, really well, and then he wound up becoming a permanent member of the team later on when they were making some changes. And ever since that point forward, he's really turned heads, and I think he's hit like a new stride in his career, and he's definitely the carry on this team. I think the problem is, though, is that past that, like sometimes you can be lacking for firepower on this team, and when you're going against a team like Mousesports that's really stacked to the brim with talent, somebody else is going to have to step up and really help him out. And that's where you hope that Nex is going to do it. He can sometimes go missing, though, in big games, but hopefully not this time.
Well, you don't want to go missing in a big game because that would be your own game. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
anyways, so we have Gabi, we have Legia. They've been playing together for quite a while now, and I think up until about this year, I can't quite put a finger down on which tournament it was, but I think a lot of people pretty much disregarded Legia.
I mean, yeah, I would say even myself, I did. Mainly because I think he was kind of a one-trick pony in his play style from playing against him a lot in NA. He tended to be the kind of guy that would always just like push through a smoke randomly, and he put his team in a 4v5 situation because he wanted to make some crazy play. And it's good sometimes, but I think under Gabi's leadership, he's actually, since moving away from North America, has gotten a lot better.
He's able to be utilized more properly.
Yeah.
Let's take a look real quick, though, because it is almost time to live on 3 this bad boy. And let's look at these vetoes, find out where our last winner's match of the day will fall between Big and Mousesports. Ironically, some of these players used to play on Mousesports.
That's very true. And I think it's really hard with Big because their map pool is like really wide and shallow. Like they played every map offline almost an equal amount of times except for Nuke, which they haven't played offline yet, and they obviously banned it first, so no surprise there. But I think it's weird because, yes, it allows you to be really versatile in what you pick because you've played all these maps, all the 6 besides Nuke, but it also, I think, makes it really hard for you to know what your best map really is. But it does give you flexibility in picking against your opponent. So it'll be interesting to see where Big steers this because right now we're 4 bans in so far, and we see Cash and Roverpass leaving for Mousesports, Inferno taking out by Big as well as Nuke, and so we're just coming down to our final match. What do you think it's going to, Hayes?
I wouldn't be surprised if Cobble stays in this, especially from Big's 16-1 performance, and Mousesports probably, they are a good Cobble team.
Absolutely.
And they probably are just going to say, I don't care that they 16-1 this team, we're just better. So I think Cobble is probably going to be the last map. It's coming down to, what's the last 2 maps? Overpass got banned.
You can do this Cobble and Train, right?
Yes, there you go.
Well done, guys. Well done.
Look, I'm getting old. My brain is deteriorating.
It's the last match of the day.
Right.
I understand. It happens. We're going to Train again, though. We did just see that whomping beforehand. But now, is this more of an equal bout?
No, I really don't think so. I don't. To be honest, I don't think any map was going to be an equal bout. I think it was Mousesports pretty much no matter what.
Yeah.
I think probably they wanted to see maybe Cobble because of the stomping that they just handed out. So they were probably pretty confident on it, but unfortunately it is Train. I don't think it's going to go well for Big.
No, I don't think so either. Again, I think it's going to be like we talked about in other games today, where it's going to have to be like Big coming up with some good tactics. And I think they have some really cool executes for Train, but it's about, can you get past the firepower of Mousesports? I mean, this is a map that Oppers are notoriously going to be very powerful on, and they're going to be the guys that you really look at for impact. And Oscar is by far the best Opper in this tournament. And so I think that that's like a huge amount that you have to handle.
They got the work cut out for them, guys. Like, ultimately. But if you did just miss that on the screen, you need to use !big or !mouse in chat right now to get your votes in, because we do show those. That's a real thing. You can participate at home. But now I'm going to have to ask you guys. Now, you're saying it's pretty much one-sided, but now I actually have to ask you to put it out there for us all. Put on the record, of course.
Mousesports, for sure. I'll even put a score out there this time. I'll say it's going to be like 16-9 in favor of Mousesports.
I like it when you're bold. I think it's Mousesports. I think Big will get a few rounds off of solid executes, but ultimately they won't be able to close it out. So I have Mousesports winning, I'd say 16-8, 16-9, 16-8.
Well, you know what? After what Mousesports did to LDLC earlier, I don't think you can even go against the grain here. I'm going to have to stick with Mousesports as well. And, you know, it seems pretty unanimous. Perhaps you in chat agree, but if you didn't vote, we'd never know. That's just how this works. We're going to go ahead and bring our commentators in now, Blue and Launders, who are ready to get into the action, ready to get into the thick of it. Boys, it's the last winners match of the day. How do you feel?
Feeling good?
Yeah, it sucks having such great analysts, man. I have to completely agree with you guys. It's gonna be like a 16 between 7 and 9. Like, get stomped territory.
That's why you're my boy, Launders.
Yeah, that's why we're boys.
Hey, Launders, I don't know if you can see this, but high five.
Let's crack open a cold one after this. You know what I mean?
Hey, brother.
Hey.
Crack open a cold one. I'm going to go do that right now. You guys go ahead and take it from here.
All right, thank you very much. So it is time for our final match of the day here, as we're going to be jumping back onto Train for this last matchup, and it's going to be Big taking on Mousesports here, and it should actually be a pretty good matchup here. Like you said, it's probably going to lean more towards Mousesports at the end of the day, but we would hope at least that Big would be able to put up a good fight here.
Yeah, at least I think it's going to be a good map for them, and you know, I love Big on a hard map like this because you get to learn a lot, because their executes, their 5v5 executes, which Train is very friendly to. They have interesting ones. And then, you know, Gob's like, as Automatic pointed out to me in an interview that I'll never forget, it's like Gob has such, it has such like a, it's so cool to watch, because you know that he's thought like a million times about everything, every little detail of his strategies. And even if when you look at a default or something, or an individual play that a player might make on the team, that might not be as applicable when you look at Big, even though they have a lot of talent. Like, you might want to look at a team like Cloud9 or SK or something for like more of an individual basis thing, like you're following a POV. But if you're looking on a more macro scale of things, I think Big is a great team to study, because in the 5v5, and when they have a good read, which Gob typically does, he's going to be able to pull out something really cool and interesting that has to do with like a good smoke that they throw, or some way to best use a team in an execute. So I think it should be an interesting match. I do think it's still going to be really difficult when you look at the player lineup. Like Oscar and Robs are such a sick combo in terms of how good they are compared to everybody else. Even on like a world scale, like Oscar and Robs are in the conversation for like top 10 players in the game, right? So having both on the same team, such a force to be reckoned with. But unfortunately for Big, they've got to reckon with that force to be able to move forward.
All right, well, it is time to find out our last semifinalist for the day anyway, as we still have 2 more to figure out tomorrow. But the easy tickets are up for grabs. There's only 1 remaining, and it's either going to be going to Mousesports or Big, depending on who wins this matchup. A good start for Big as Legia just goes tapping away at these headshots here. He's able to take out Stico, and a very nice shot into the short lane to find Oscar too. Gabi finding one more, and I love this nice little pinch that comes out of Ladderum. Completely catches those last players off guard and shuts it down on the pistol to give it to Big.
The round begins and ends with Legia pretty much standing at Ivy, being able to have like line of sight on those 2 players crossing outside, and not have to worry about his back as well. But the problem is with Ivy is that you can't get there that quickly. So if you want to do some type of fast execute, and here we can see the molly kind of be useless because they expected someone to play there, but no one ended up holding that spot. But yeah, it was a nice couple of shots from Legia, and that instant 5v3. It'd just be a tragedy if Big ended up losing that round. So great pistol efficiency, and now a flash into T-Con to get control of it. Tabson doesn't actually spot his opponent to the left, or both of them either.
Tabson, well, it actually gets bailed out by a teammate there, otherwise he would have been dead. Nicely done. His next just barely is able to move in there to be able to clip off Sunny, taking him out of the fight. Same can be said now for Stico and Rops as well. Both of them going to be eliminated. Chris J finally getting at least one response moving out here, but that will probably be one of the only ones. This is now just down to Oscar, and he'll also be eliminated. Finally trying to funnel out through Ivy there. Gets taken out by Legia, and it's a nice quick 2-0 for Big.
Yeah, solid control overall, not losing another player. That's very important, and everybody holding on to a lot of their utility too, which can tally up to just over 1K, which is important to note. I mean, Molotov, you let that go for any stupid reason, that's $600 down the drain, which is no small number. So even if you win the round, holding on to that stuff can be very useful. And here's Mousesports on the back foot, having to have only Glocks, not a single flash. And economically, Mousesports make a lot of great decisions. Like, they think of the finer details as a team, and they realize, you know, this money is in the pool. It's not just for each of us to spend by ourselves and worry about the buy. It's sometimes we got to drop each other, and they make sure they count every dollar.
And well, with Mousesports moving together, just this big blob, they're going to be getting ready to go for a quick inner execute as soon as they set themselves up for it. Problem is, Kiev already has control over upper. The Ma's going to come in late, but thankfully Kiev is able to take out a majority of the players anyway and trap them within the Molotov to quickly clean up there and secure the 3-0 start.
I personally think that it can be really risky to play pushed up on B versus anti-ecos or on anti-ecos, but at the same time, I really hate to see teams get free plants because nobody was there watching versus Glocks coming down a ramp. So like, I like that they hold with 2 UMPs close up, just with the ability to trade. They have a ton of advantages, and I think it made sense. Now, because they saved that money, you can see the extra smokes in the hands of Mousesports is going to play into this, what seems like a kind of fast strategy, or might just be kind of a distraction as they set up for what will basically be a re-exec. Try to bait out any free Molotovs they can so that no one can get stuck in a choke point.
At the beginning of this round here, we are going to look at Tabson actually getting the first kill off on the Sunny. Next, of course, spotting the players on top of ladders, he takes that aggressive position that's meant to more counter out the totem pole stacks that we often see nowadays now. A little nade going in there, hanging off onto quite a bit of damage on the Chris J actually, so that brings him down very low. Oscar, however, lined up through Ivy's. It was left relatively undefended, is able to move in there and take down Legia. So the trade brings us back down into another even fight, and Mousesports Bulldog get prepped out for the outer execute, which is actually going to be pretty easy to do because most of the CTs are set up at the moment towards Z. Oscar's even going to move forward. He cuts off another player back over here that's trying to move in from CT spawn, so down goes the op from this the CT side, and now, well, they really only have the Z in inner control. They don't have anything else to play off of, and Tabson remaining up on ticket just gets wrecked by Chris J on the way in. Oscar with one more now with the op, taking that position here just outside of CT. Next, the last man standing, will have to look to 1v4, but he won't even get close, only takes down Chris J on the bomb train, and it's not long before he's dead, and Mousesports are on the board.
Yeah, that's rough. I mean, they even had, at the beginning of the round, Tabson took advantage of a smoke and killed somebody in T-Con without taking any damage whatsoever, and here's Legia trying to re-aggress at Ivy, not expecting anybody to be pushed up that far. And Oscar at this point has got so much control. What a shot on that one, man. But yeah, he had gotten so much control just pushing at that point that like there was no way for Big to be able to attack the outside site without coming through Z, which at that point you'd have to look at both ways. You'd have to come out Z looking at ladder and looking at Old Bomb because there was so much control for Mousesports. So it's a super sick round for Mousesports, great recovery, and now they have full nades. They're going up against another buy of Big because they did so good on their anti-ecos, but they're definitely looking strong already.
So, jumping back into it here now after that first quick pause, we'll see if Big are going to be able to hold on the rebuy or if Mousesports can really move in and just take solid control of this map and start to run the comeback here. Big with the first 3 rounds, great. They've built up a little bit of a round cushion to play off of, but they need to quickly get back into the action here. But they are going to find themselves broken. Oscar looking to line up that shot. He won't do it right now because the Opper is crouching, but he ends up taking the shot just a little bit too late. So won't be able to find that early wall bang that we so often love to see.
Stico taking his time testing ladder. We see this dance being danced a lot. I mean, everybody at the bottom of the ladder knows what's up. They realize they're gonna have to come in the face of nades. Could be a total pull stack, could be guns get dropped, could be a double flash thrown down. Everybody trying to time it perfectly to avoid getting blind. And sometimes you want to creep up and try to get that kill before they even try to do anything like that. And that's what makes this job so dangerous. It's like king crab fishing, you know what I mean? Yeah. It doesn't get paid any more than the other guy, though. You don't get to negotiate as a ladder player, unfortunately. But it is very risky.
That's a very good metaphor, actually.
Thank you.
So now with the time starting to get a little bit lower here, Mousesports are going to have to look for a way to execute here pretty soon. Still essentially lined up with just T-Con and ladder pressure. They're now going to send Chris J over Maybe these little boost up too to try and see if they can see back towards Ivy, catch anyone that might be open towards the short lane or more towards Sandwich here, but nothing's going to be seen. Oh, just before they unboost, however, it looks like they already able to spot one player. But now, Oscar's actually going to route back outside. Oh, he's looking for the bomb. I thought for a second he was going to try to set up a smoke this late, but no. They are going inside. He will set up the smoke, but it'll be a quick pop for him and the rest of his team as they look to move in. The problem is, wow! Tabson with the sweeping kill, and Match just dropped the bomb too, so that's worst case scenario here for Mousesports, as now they have no way to properly execute, get this bomb back under their control, cleared out the A site, and plant with only 12 seconds remaining. So they're pretty much just going to hide out and have no choice but to save because of the hero play from Tabson.
Oh, my man's literally decimated them in T-Con with just a UMP, shutting it down completely, and that is the risk of forfeiting T-Con control. Now, they went in at the perfect moment to try to take it. Mousesports, because they didn't work on anything that entire round, it's got me a little bit worried for them, to be honest, because they move so slowly to the point that it's kind of like, well, why aren't you peeking something? Why aren't you at least holding on to T-Con control? If they just waited for this push, for example, going 1-for-1 would have been hugely beneficial, having the bomb there. They could have continued with their split, and we saw the round timer actually just finished soon after. So that means Mousesports really took a long time. We didn't have much map control to show for it. Next round's up, round 6, where we've got a couple players looking at potentially taking IV control. What a shot from Oscar.
And he starts it off strong for Mousesports, and this is good. We're starting to see the aggression roll back in. They're not hesitating as much as they were back on that last gun round. Obviously, this one being a bit more of a force here, but they can make it work. 2 AKs and op along with at least 1 deagle there, so definitely having something to play off of. And they kill 1 player on a site. Chris J will get a gun too. It looks like, though, after that kill at Ivy, they will quickly shift towards inner, where they do have 2 players set up to defend it. Keeve is going to be very aggressive, though. With this op in hand, he's going to walk right up to the back of box cells here, see if he can get an early kill, and he just might find it. No, misses, actually, and Rups will spawn in time. Takes down Keeve, and now it's just Gabi here to defend the inner site currently. Mousesports will line up their execute and get ready to move in, and that will call the rotates for the remaining players that are still out there on the A site. Gabi stuck behind his smoke. He's got to be careful peeking the right side here, as that might just give away to Oscar, and there you go, right to his dome as it knocks Gabi out of the fight. And just as the smoke is starting to fade away, Tabson moves in unfortunate timing. He does get that nade off, though, which takes down Stiko, but still is not going to mean all that much currently, as now we do have Next just walking right
chill.
around.
Yeah, just chill. Oh my God.
No way.
No way, dude. He's got a great opportunity. They don't have no idea.
Where are the...
They know he's not close up as far as they're concerned, and they're not sitting back to watch this. Oh, someone's gonna run past him. Will he see it? No, he won't.
He turned around.
He's gonna be able to
Oh, he's
gonna be able to defuse now. No?
He's got the kit, and I think he has enough room. They're going to be running back. Chris J's not even moving. He's standing in the back of the site. He did it. The absolute ninja from Next. Beautifully played, and that's going to give big control over another very important round.
Dude, you hate to see it. You cannot let rounds like that go. Instantly, a timeout is called from Chris J. He's probably going to get up and slap all of his teammates, dude. That is so bad. Holy smokes.
See, that's so sore. You can even see one of the members of Big there just laughing about it at the end, that they were actually able to pull that off. That's incredible. And what patience as well to wait for the perfect timing to be able to jump on that defuse. Waits until everyone is very much as far away as possible. Almost doesn't leave himself enough time to do that. But
yeah, they're really just thinking about the fact that they won the round so decisively. They were just going to go and hunt the final exit kill to make sure that Big can't buy next round, and now they actually lost. I can't believe we just saw that. That was actually insane.
So 5-1 scoreline here. We are live again as we've resumed the countdown. Mousesports, because of the fact they at least keep 2 or 3 players alive at every single round, they can keep some consistent buys going here, so they're still going to have a full buy for this round. But obviously, with things like that happening, that's definitely not a good omen for what could come in the rest of this map. And we could very well look at a big upset if things continue to go that way. 5-1 already built up. We're going to look at some more action for them too, as Keeve takes that aggressive peek in the back box halls and knocks out Rops early on.
I was just going to talk about how in that last round, Mousesports managed to find that opening kill, and then they just found so many kills in a row. There was nothing really to decipher beyond that. It was just like every single trade went in favor of Mousesports. But I think that we'll see maybe a more consistent pattern of one of the holes at Mousesports is they build their T strategies around getting the 5v4, and if they can't find the 5v4, do they run out of ideas? And that that's the common thing that happens when a team runs out of time if they do it too often. Now we've only seen that once so far, and on the other rounds, Mousesports were able to find opening frags. But I think that's something that we definitely want to watch for. Now in the 5v4 situation, you can definitely have more of a playmaking attitude, and this is when your stars really need to come alive. And it's up to Oscar at this point, who's got the op to really try to open things up. I mean, he's not going to really play a clutch situation when they still need to enter a site, knowing that Big are not going to over-rotate.
Gabi will get pushed away as I believe he spotted something here. So Kiev is now ready to take the battle. T-Smoke comes out. Oh no, he actually unscopes just when he would have had a chance, as that T-player there ends up peeking just before the smoke blooms. But he's able to go lower and get a kill anyway, so goodbye to Oscar. We've seen one more here. Tapson with a second time in like 2 or 3 rounds that Tapson's killed Stika with a nade, interestingly enough there. Kiev moves in and finds Sunny, but Chris J will respond, however. That's the only kill, really, that we are going to see from Mousesports in this round. Other than that, it's a big shutdown from Big themselves.
It's a big shutdown for sure, yeah. And now they're in a position where they're just doing so well, but not only that, they've got Mousesports almost certainly somewhat tilted, right? In a BO1 especially, there's not much room to come back from. I mean, the half is going to be over. The game could be over before you know it. It's only going to take a couple of rifle rounds to really make the difference. Not only numerically, but psychologically. It can really, really hurt your opponent. So they're probably feeling great. You know, they're probably laughing amongst themselves. And Mousesports, on the other hand, have to have another round where they just have to save. Now it's just God playing inner, and it looks like Mousesports maybe want to do something over here, so that could be something. I mean, you could expect a plant to at least go down, but will that be it? Bob's already gone back to make sure that he's going to stay alive for a retake if it's necessary.
His nade already did some great damage, too, on the 2 of these players at least. However, Kiev can only get 1. Great response from Sunny, but just like that, they have next in the site here, and him and Gabi are going to be trying to shut this down. Stiko gets off 1 more kill from the Deagle, so they do lose 2 this time from Big. However, at this point, that doesn't matter because they are building up an economy very, very quickly here. Most players around 4 to 7K and continuing to grow.
Yeah, it's exactly the position you want to be in, especially as CT. You've got some expensive habits on this side, and it's important to make sure you can always afford incendiaries. Big problem for Mousesports, they're definitely going to be in count nade mode, where, I mean, you always should be in that mode, but here especially, they're going to make sure that, like, you know, realizing that Big have all the money in the world, that they can't just 5v5 execute right out of the gate and expect not to get counter-naded properly. So hopefully they do go through the motions properly. We want to see this be a closer game, and we definitely expected Mousesports to just kind of stomp here. So this is a reverse of what we've anticipated, and that is surprising, but we also, you know, want to see it be competitive at least at this point. So hopefully Mouse can get something going. T-Con control has been a big problem for them. They leave it wide open, and Big like to poke around in there, and that's a fair bit of information that they can get.
Like actually moving out to try and do a little bit of nade damage there on Ivy too. You can see it going to the corner, so just a little bit off the mark to do massive damage, but at least he tags Chris J for about 15 or so there. Nothing super impressive, but at least starts it off. Now we see the timer getting a bit lower, so we should start to see Mousesports pop up for their execute in the next 10 seconds or so. Big are aware of this too, so they're going to get ready with their own counter utility to try and block off some of these pathways and run the timer. In a bit, you'll see Legia mollying off towards Ivy. Kiev obviously holding the close angle here at T-Con. The molly going into ladder in there too, to be mindful of a quick play from here. But still, no aggression coming out at all from Mousesports, and we're under 40 seconds left in the timer now. So starting to look a lot like the first gun run, where they were unfortunately shut down due to a well-timed push from Tapson. That's not going to happen this time, but they still could get destroyed if they don't find their entries quickly, and that's a good start. Chris J knocking out Legia. We will see Tapson and X both finding trades, though, taking down Chris J and Sunny. Kiev trained on that angle, easily knocks out 1, and then swings over to T-Con for a second. So while there is 1 good entry to start it off, no follow-ups at all from the Mousesports side of things, and Oscar will just end up backing away to save this up.
This is a time where you really want to get in the Mumble, or the TeamSpeak, or the Discord, or the Xfire, whatever you're using, right? and just listen to see what exactly Mousesports are talking about. Because when I watch this, I see a default that doesn't actually have a goal, and I see a bunch of players going through the motions of standing around watching their spots, but no one's getting anything done, and then they wait till 20 seconds for what seems like almost no reason, when they could have executed 40 seconds, and it would have been the exact same situation, except they'd be less panicked, and if it did come down to a clutch situation outside, at least that guy would have an opportunity to play the clock a little bit. But now, it's just Mousesports just running the clock down for almost no reason, and it's hard to say why.
It seems like they're just trying to sit back and hope that Big make a mistake, that they try to peek or something like that, and that they get that early kill. Like they want the 5v4 to play off of at least before they go into the site, but they're not being given that. Big plays very passively. They just sit trained on angles. They don't over peek or anything like that, and that just makes it easy for them because Mousesports move in with no time to spare, so they just have to kind of be tunnel vision as they move into these sites, and they don't have a lot of time to check more tricky angles, and that's where Big is cutting off quite a few of these Mousesports players.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. It's just like it's just like if Mousesports aren't getting that 5v4.
Oh, unfortunate.
Oh, it seems like their hopes are lost. Even 5v5, their hopes seem lost.
Sunny is allowed to creep in. Actually, he didn't see this player up on top of Brown Tree right now, but is that player going to see him? Sunny can get away with a massive amount of kills here if he successfully gets up to the site. There's the first one, but now we'll look for the trade from next as he jumps back down. So they keep control over things. Stiko, though, found another kill But we are going to see most of the roster from Mousesports wrap away from Ivy here now and actually head towards Inner, which is currently undefended. That'll change pretty quickly as Keeve is going to jump into this, and he arrives just in time too. Molly going on to ramp, and it hits just on the nose too. So it will do damage to those other two players as they try to cross. Keeve is playing very dangerously though. He's going to have pressure from lower and upper right now. Nice shot. Just barely clips off onto Rops to take him down, but now he's being pressured by upper, trying to skirt around it. However, Chris J pushes in. But with the trade from Next, that keeps an advantage situation for Big. They'll need one more kill. Chris J peeking out, finds one of the 2 kills he needs. It's just a matter of hunting down Gabi right now, but he can't find him, so Gabi gets the superior angle and still wins it out for Big.
Yeah, he makes the incorrect read there, unfortunately. And it's just another round where Big were able to get the favorable trades. I feel like Sunny outside should have played it a little bit harder, you know, where he found, when you see that somebody's not looking at you, you realize that you circumvented the defense, whether you did it on purpose or not, and that you have a little bit, at least a window of opportunity to look for another kill. And I think that was a situation where the round wasn't over yet. Maybe he should have looked for another kill. And the trigger discipline is obviously very difficult to do, especially when the stakes are so high, and you don't want your teammates to get killed because you don't go for one. So I can understand where he's coming from, but maybe there was an opportunity there.
Yeah, now Mousesports are basically just going to rush outside here after they set up a couple smokes to quickly try and look for at least getting a plant so they can have some bonus money. Next is going to deny that. He won't succeed in doing it as he wants to focus on getting those kills there. But at the very least, they do shut it down with no additional losses to Big, so letting them get that money is not going to be too big of a deal because Big have been dominating for so long anyway here. The extra $900 or so is not really going to be too much of an effect against Big.
Yeah, imperative that he at least got that plant, so that's fortunate for Mousesports that they can move into this next round, tons of money and a little bit left over. It's not the biggest problem that they have at the moment. The biggest problem they have is not putting rounds on the board, and it's just been Big tearing away at them, man. I'm shocked. This is really, really impressive from them. And kind of sad to see Mousesports fail this hard on Train. I think sometimes are playing themselves as well. So maybe they'll get that change, but I think that we need to see a change in pace because their defaults is not that. It's just not being that fruitful.
So early Molly going into T-Con here. We're not going to see any crazy pressure, but Keeve just getting fed these kills round over round again. Finds another opening frag on that inner bomb site, and this time it's against Rops once more. So puts it down to a 5v4 right off the bat. Tabston as well, just getting away with murder on this push. They need to trade that out, and thankfully they do due to a bad spray from Tabston. So Chris J takes him out, and it brings it back down into another even fight. It's not going to stay that way, though. The secondary op rolls out from Ivy and quickly trades the kill into Chris J once again.
Yeah, this puts your team in fear because you know that they can see all the way down to T-Con. You realize that they're not going to be scared of an Ivy push. And here, even in the 3v3, big advantage for Legia. Never has to watch Ivy, at least for like another 20 seconds. He realizes no one can ever come here. And with the clock ticking down, they've got to get something going. There is a minute left, however, and they can work outside as slowly as they want to, but they've also got to be aware Gabi could push Inner at any time.
Legia's flanking too.
Many are spotted, and yeah, look at that. Taking that at, oh wow. That's such an aggressive peek on Oscar. Oscar's got to be so upset about that one. Keeve too fast.
Keeve not even caring about what happens to him there. Just heads right out into the open. Gets a nice kill. Like I said before, we still have this flank potentially coming in from Legia in a second here too. Let's see if they're watching for this. At the moment, no. They're just checking like Z and back halls. They're not looking towards ladder. They're not looking towards T-Con. So the second they're able to spot Sunny up on top of this train, he's a dead man. And there we go. It's not even Gabi that gets the kill, or excuse me, Legia that gets the kill. It's going to be Keeve that finds it this time. Legia, in fact, is knocked out instantly the second he tries to push into the site by Stiko, who's now looking for this 1v3 clutch. Train immediately onto this angle. Oh, but a great flash leaves him completely blind and allows for Gabi to get the final kill.
You absolutely got to love that flash. I mean, that just makes that 2v1 possible. It's Stiko's job in that situation to make 1v1s, and that's why he stood behind the E-box, but that wasn't enough with utility and proper teamwork. So fantastic stuff once again from Big, who are actually taking this game and running away with it in such a big way. And that was a great play from Legia to go and trade that kill. The fast flank ensured the round, and what a round from Keeve overall, just all those picks. And it was funny that like even with those big flanks coming out, Keeve was still the one to actually like get most of the frags, right? In the spots that Mousesports were waiting for. So we've got another, we actually got a timeout this time. Keeve calls it. So I think they're going to talk about how to make sure to close out this half on a high note. And you know, the fact that they are up to 11-1 doesn't mean that the game's over, and I think they know that better than anyone. Very disciplined roster. Here we have Gob just, yelling out instructions. I think maybe if something is unclear, that's a good time to really be able to flesh things out with your teammates. Make sure everyone's on the same page, but it's got to be scary for Mousesports that Big are taking a pause of all people.
Well, we'll get back into the action here now. And with Big at an 11-1 lead, as you were mentioning, they will look to secure that, getting further and further into this half. If we could see another 14-1, then that's not going to leave Mousesports with really any opportunity at all to come back unless they win the pistol and really bust out from that point. However, on this round, Oscar starts it off well. A quick push out from T-Con and a kill onto Legia in these first few seconds. Now they need to follow this through and prevent trades, because we've seen them get these 5v4s before, but they've also messed it up plenty of times due to trades coming back out from Big. And there's the first one from Next, who's also going to spot the second player coming out from T-Con. Sees him going back inside to see if we got good intel about what's going on across the map currently. The latter players have yet really to do anything. They've got Stigo down below, but he's been smoked back off. And now Chris J is found trying to sneak in from Ivy. So that avenue has failed, leaving them really with the only remaining option, which is to try and swing inner.
I love how Next finessed that E-box so well. And then we had that call out. Gabi takes a couple of dinks, but it's through the wall, so it'll get away. And also sees the smoke come out, but he's also got a couple of nades left up his sleeve. So now they've called for the inner rotate. There are 2-3 terrorists here, but no other options really. Man advantage once again for Big, in a great position to close out another incredibly important round.
I think they're actually going to quickly fake here too. They threw their utility inside, but they're actually going to execute outer. But with 4 players still alive, Big actually realized this is a possibility. They split 2-2 instead of fully committing. Next, ready to take the first and second player down. And now he's up to a 3K. He'll make it 4 though, as Rops also busts out of the smoke trying to get that trade kill. Can't get it done though, so it's 12-1 for Big.
It's truly satisfying to see the bullets just off to the right, catch the players wide swinging on him, and him getting both those kills. Fantastic stuff, and a huge individual play. And now, yeah, Mousesports just, like even in that situation, they want to fake out. They wanted to fake enter, so they threw some nades. There's still a smoke outside. You know, they haven't even been able to bait out all the utility they want to. And Big, everything they're doing it big.
And speaking of some of these big players here, we definitely have 2 very clear front runners at the moment for Big. It's been Nex and Key for the most part. It's 17 and 19 kills. No one else on the Big roster has even over 10 kills yet, so these guys have been cleaning up. This time, though, it's Rops and Chris J that all of a sudden show up with this entry power that we have yet to see. Oh! Feels bad, man. Gabi has a perfect opportunity to kill Oscar, but Oscar outright denies it.
I mean, at least you know that that wasn't the linchpin of the round, right? Like it's still a 2v5. If he gets that kill, he maybe gets another one, but it's still a long shot. But Keith making a case for his team right now, opening it up with an op shot and then immediately traded out. So there at least is one more for Mouse, and we can see the pattern here is that they started to change up the tempo, and they've also got closer to winning rounds. I mean, even on that previous round, Keith was so aware that he killed Chris J in a giant lurk, but Chris J had him, it seemed like, dead to rights. And so, you gotta love that double entry, taking the round into his own hands. From a team that's probably, a team that's in dire straits, that's probably not feeling great at all. Last round of the half, flashes outside. Are they going to continue with this fast tempo? The nades are still in the favor of Big, but they're already out here.
They're going to rely on both Oscar and Rops to get some of these entries, I imagine, but it's actually Chris J leading the charge. He moves in, only gets 1. Stico picks up the second for the team, and Key falls before getting anything done. The fast-paced play works again for Mousesports. As they get out, they get site control, and they only lose, well, up until that point, 1 of their players. That will now change, though. Like, taking this angle at Ivy. Now it's going to get a little bit more dangerous. They've also lost the smoke, and there's no plant just yet. The bomb still needs to cross, and Sunny, unfortunately, is going to end up jumping right into Legia. Thankfully, though, Oscar's able to get out when Legia on the peaks for a second there, and that will give Oscar the chance he needs to finally take him out. But Gabi has been presented with a very winnable 1v2.
Yeah, somewhat. It's still going to be quite difficult, but at least he's got everything he could ask for beyond an extra couple of teammates. Full nades here. And he's actually worked out of the smoke, and they think he still might be in Z, but it's going to be 2 spots, Z and ladder, that are the most common for the inner rotate to come out of. And he is clearing everything, but isn't finding a single person. This has got to be frustrating for Gob as the clock ticks down, knowing he's in a 1v2. And as soon as he gets the first kill, the round just gets extended for the terrorists as you get to reposition. But that's it now.
Oscar.
Yeah, that was tough. I mean, he actually made like a pretty cool play. He got out. He just kind of misread where exactly the T's were playing from. But again, Mousesports, they get their rounds off of fast strats. And all the rounds, if we look at that half, I think they learned a lot about themselves. And it looks like they maybe did that out of frustration, but we can clearly see they worked way better at a high tempo. And I think a big problem for them was when Big were so good at dealing with these like slow, methodical executes. Mousesports were just like set up in a 5v5, didn't do much with map control. And like as soon as they would do something, it'd be too late.
Or someone would make a massive play and just completely kill the round. Like we saw a couple of times there too, from the side of Big. But still, even with those last rounds going by the way of Mousesports, it's a very, very dominant scoreline for Big at this point. 12-3, not completely impossible, however, for Mousesports to come back from this. So we'll see if they're going to be able to pull that off, and it'll obviously have to start with a pistol, as if they lose this one, it can end very quickly in Big's favor, especially if we don't see that second round force buy from Mousesports coming out successfully, assuming they lose the pistol, of course.
Yeah, we still know that Mousesports are technically the favorite in the matchup, and as we switch sides, it's going to be a second chance at life, but also Big have the confidence of realizing that they can play, make mistakes, and sometimes that can allow you to have an even more dominant performance, right? You never want to feel like you're scared to make a play because you're about to lose the game, so they have that going for them. That confidence is actually worth something. I mean, nobody is infallible in terms of when you're talking about how mentally capable they are of withstanding even like the closest signs of death, but no, a good team should be closer to it. So maybe Mousesports have the opportunity. We'll see.
So it's going to be a heavy Ivy execute, but it'll still be a default execute towards outer. Stiko spots some of this, so just off that boost alone, he's going to know there's at least 2 guys here. Probably assumes a third. So good intel gathered early on, at least by Mousesports here. I have to try and work off of that to shut this down. As Big is playing it very slowly on the pistol. Normally these people will jump right into the action, but at the moment they're okay with kind of slowing it down and letting the timer run a bit, seeing if they can catch someone from Mousesports making a mistake. You'll note that Oscar has already gotten all the way to the top of ladder because they have already obviously committed to ladder there since they only have 1 guy playing it. So he's going to have a very early flank if he wants to work off of it. They still have the 2 guys positioned in Ivy. It's a good setup for Mousesports right now. It's just all going to come down to the fragging power though once Big start this execute, which I think is happening now. Sunny's going to have to cancel out most of the action coming back out from T-Con here, but Rolps finds a first kill over 3, and now 4 quick kills coming out from Big after that. It does end up in a 2v1 with Oscar looking to clutch sitting inside. They know they don't have to fight him right now, and he realizes that too, so he'll swing out. He'll take the battle, and he actually takes down Tapston, but Next trades before the last man can be eliminated, and Next will save the day for Big, putting them up to 13-3 and only 3 rounds away from winning the map.
It really does become a rodeo outside as T's exit all 3 choke points, and so we didn't actually get to inspect how each of those kills unfolded, but what we did know is that the trades were insanely impressive from Big. 3 kills on the kill feed instantly, and that made it really difficult. Now Oscar did bring it to a 1v1, and maybe if he took contact earlier, could have bailed his teammates out of a tough situation, but ultimately Big winning that round is a huge confidence booster, knowing that they're so close to this end of this game.
And they're going to go directly into the site too, trying to counter out the force buy with just raw aggression. It does lead to quite a few trades in Mousesports' favor. However, Big definitely taking the edge off things here as they bring it down to just 1 player. It's Rups looking to clutch 1v3 with only a deagle in hand, no armor sitting behind it, no additional utility, and stuck in ladder room, most importantly of all here. And I believe they even are in a second here, going to have players trained on that angle to watch out for him. It's all up to him to make this play. He's going to burst out here. Now he's been revealed. And they can just trap him at this point. Make sure he doesn't leave or go anywhere else. Make sure that he gets eliminated. And the Big can clean up the round, putting them just 2 away from map victory and a spot in the semifinals on Sunday.
Yeah, we could really see how the reposturing of the terrorist as soon as he takes a shot, once they know where he is, they make sure that they make that round as difficult as possible for him. And again, Mousesports in a position where they forced because they needed to, and now might have to. I mean, we're on land where it's a very high stakes match, and ultimately they believe that they should win this game. The best way to achieve that is by saving, and they're doing that full save. So they're going to go for the long con here, and I really respect that play. Now the flash down ladder is no good. That's a really interesting way to do that. It's a cool running flash. I wonder how deep it goes though. And it's probably a little bit inconsistent, but either way, they're not actually going to go down ladder. They're going to rotate in there, but so are Mousesports.
Yeah, they see that. I think they see the guy going back up ladder, just assume they're going to commit fully into this site. So they do have a little bit of a scrap to go through here if they want to win the round. And now, what is this? 3 kills coming out from Mousesports. Only 2 more being traded back. Next, even being taken down by Chris J. It's on Gabi to clutch 1v3. He is against USPs, mind you. A nice little flick there, especially if that would have hit. Not the case right now. However, he can move forward. He heard this player picking up the rifle. He's going to be a little bit careful about it. Gets the kill, and now these last 2 looking for ways to lock him down. Goes out into the open. Doesn't get the full kill just yet. Re-peeks to get it. Now with 5 bullets left, he'll go for a reload here. Sunny is pushing forward, but he only has 1 HP. But Gabi can't close it out. Can't hit that bullet. So it's a big upset round for Mousesports to keep them in the game, and more importantly, keep Big off of round 15.
Man, what a round from Sunny. So many headshots, all with the USP2 and from a distance. From downtown, this kid aims with precision. So very, very nicely done for Mousesports, and they wanted to buy here. So they've got a surplus of income. Now it's just that they've got they're 2 rounds away from this game ending. Meg are not going to force up in response either. Surprisingly, I think they should have. They've definitely earned that right, bringing it to a 1v1, but they know that Mousesports, because they full save, don't have a lot to worry about themselves. Even if they lose, obviously that's a big deal. But they've got really good guns to work with, and have recovered some of the rifles from last round as well, or at least the one on Sunny. So overall, big advantage here for our CTs as they hold against what looks like an inner execute from Big.
It's going to be a quick one for them. Oscar trying to make sure that he hits these players in time, as well as trying to juke away from him. Not going to happen, though, and it's already 4 players dead. They know the last one's sitting here in the box hall somewhere. Oh, Tabson, nice little headshot there, but he's only going to get that 1 kill, and we'll quickly see Rops trading it out afterwards to give Mousesports their 5th. After that save, though, no reason why Big won't fully buy, so here we go. Full AK investments for them. Not going to see an op this time. They just can't afford it, but at least look at 5 AKs and full utility on the board.
Pretty consolation prize at the end of the round there from Tabson with a nice 1D, but as you said it, we move into a round with 5 AKs. They are going to set up inside, or excuse me, Rops are going to set up inside close to the smoke, throws it aggressively, trying to play it kind of like get right in the moment, and yeah, is going to definitely try to take the round into his own hands. This threat is a constant threat of a big flank instantly, like you're going to be holding for it, but how long will he stay here? They see the nade, so they know that the CTs have gotten frisky. I wonder if Rops did that to let them know that he's actually played there, but it's mostly just a fake to delay for time.
And we're going to see aggression from the CT side. Sunny moving in there too with the molly to try and block off Big from getting it. So they'll actually have to use a flashbang or 2 in order to get themselves out into T-Con. But Sunny was not peeked away far enough from that. So Nex is able to see his shoulder before Sunny could see him. These support flashes from Big are so good as Nex is able to get back out there, find Chris J. He does take another battle though, and unfortunately at that low HP against the op, granted, won't really matter too much, but they'll quickly refrag that Gabi, taking down Oscar, leaving just Rops and Stiko alive. Stiko finding the 1 kill, brings it down to a 2v3, and Rops trying to wrap around here, but not going to happen. Gabi takes out Rops. Stiko brings it into a 1v2, but he's got to look to clutch, and the problem is they're no longer fighting for this site. Big rotated towards inner, and we'll have full control here, leaving Stiko, well, really with a very low chance of clutching this. We'll see if he's able to do it, though. Moves in, gets close to the first kill. No cigar, however. Big will win it, and they take it up to round 15. Map point and match point as well to put them into the semifinals.
Man, we definitely really underestimated Big. I feel like I'm regretting my words here. They look so solid. Even on the T side, this outer execute was fantastic. Nex looks so good. Called for the flash from his teammates and did that jump out to not only get a better position, but to be able to bait a shot out to make sure that guy make sure that Keeve ate the flash, or not Keeve. I'm sorry, Oscar ate the flash. And he made that a reality. So now they're in what could be the last round of the game. Mousesports don't have much to work with. At least they've got an op on Oscar. That might be a saving grace for them, but it's looking bleak.
Yeah, and the CT's taking aggressive control early on, specifically towards ladder, as we see Sunny moving up, trying to kill anyone that would try to drop into it. I think actually, for the most part, we'll see Big avoiding ladder. They might send 1 player down it, but they're definitely looking towards a heavy Ivy play right now. And we can see 2 out of the 3 players that are here pushing in. They'll probably keep the bomb back. If they clear this with no problem whatsoever, they'll just bring it right in with them. However, that flash actually gets messed up because it bounces off of Tabson. Next, though, we'll get a first kill, and it's Stiko looking to defend this over here around the corner. Unfortunately, smoked out, so can't do much right now. It's got to be Chris J to hold it here, and he's being wrapped on from both sides. He can only get that 1 kill. He does good damage to Tabson, bringing him down to 2 HP, and now Oscar will move back in. Stiko, too, getting another kill from up on this bomb train. It's down to just 2 players here from Big, but Tabson opens up with a flank, gets a first kill, next finds another. Stiko trying to clutch. They're both at low HP, so this is very, very winnable, and now as he brings it down to 1, it's all on Tabson, looking for the headshot against Stiko, but he's fallen back. He's retreated inside of Latimer here to try and play it a bit more passively. Tabson not able to see Stiko's head just yet as he's holding too far to the right of this train, and he still hasn't seen it, even though he could just partially see it. I think he's noticed it now, though. He's looking towards it, and as Stiko moves out, not sure if he has an idea. The smoke will go back over to him, but Stiko peeks at perfect time to take out Tabson and make sure that he prevents him from planting, and more importantly, wins the round.
That was a cool attempt from Tabson with such low HP. He actually went out wide into the open so that he couldn't get pre-aimed on the left side of the train, because that's something you do when you hedge bets and you have like medium to full HP, where you can be like, I can take some damage here, but I need more so need a way to escape. And here we have that. He tries to bait Stiko into having to flick, and he's hoping that he hits his headshot, knowing that he'll probably peek instead of staying behind the smoke. But Stiko does play right into it, but because he has that health advantage, ends up winning the round. And now Mousesports are actually still in this. It's a save here for Big. Glocks across the board. 2 UMPs in the hands of Mousesports players as they set up in a very, very standard outside hold.
I think they're just going to rush down here, see if they can overwhelm at least the player that's at ramp. Unsuccessfully, though. Rops holds, gets a nice little triple kill for his work. And the remaining T's will spread out. Leggy is just going to essentially try to hold here. Tabson was also found back over in the Ivy hallways there. So quick work from Mousesports to get through this big eco.
Yeah, they need 8 more to make it a reality, to bring this to actually just to get to OT, which is depressing in and of itself to have to think about. Got to work so hard just for another chance to reset everyone's economies, have an equal chance at winning the game. So that's tough to deal with. Big have called a pause, call this ice in the kicker, and I think that we've got Big who have enough money to buy, just deciding what they want to do once they do buy. And I'm not sure if they're going to figure out how to split up their economy, because it seems like it's a pretty standard decision that they're going to want rifles, though we've got a couple people buying grenades. I think they were just counting smokes, actually. So making sure that they have enough for what they are definitely going to turn into and execute. They're not going to make this, it doesn't seem like they're going to make this like some kind of standard default into, which is just not their style anyway. You kind of expect that they're going to have like an end of round, out of spawn strategy.
So as we get into it here, another chance for Big to close out. Both teams actually drawing their economies kind of to the bitter edge of it. We can see Chris J having to go out to a scout for this round. Besides that, they're looking okay, but for Big, it's a little bit more drastic. 2 Galils and up. They do get full utility on everyone, but they're still dealing with those lackluster weapons to play with here. At the moment, they have pretty much everybody stacked up on top of ladder room here with the CTs piling onto it to try and defend it, even though I highly doubt Big are going to send everyone down there. Probably going to look more towards an inner execute just after they throw these smokes to the outer site to try and fake it a little bit.
Yeah, and they're actually running low on utility, so they've actually got to move pretty quickly here. Oscar falling back through. Z, Rob's in a very standard but also favorable position. There he is, coming back to support his team.
And Rops is able to kill the second player moving out of upper. One more is going to try to do the task. He just walks right past him, though. Tries to Rops, but actually Gobby kills Legia because they line up, so Rops is able to kill both of them there. And besides that, it's just a shutdown for Mousesports. A great hold. Well, now they're about halfway there.
Oh, that's the round where, that's definitely a round where you edit the kill feed if you're Rob, so you can add those frags to your frag compilation. That was still a nice spray, and he did have some help from the turncoat on Big, but ultimately they get the round. And it was a moment there where they pulled the rotate from Oscar, which is what they were looking for. But Oscar's got some experience. He wasn't going to fall for that for too long. Ends up coming back to make sure that his teammate can be safe inside. T spotted at Ivy. Nades avoided, but so the Ivy player has receded. No.
Now he's still staying right here, and that's where Stiko is going to be able to push forward, knocking out Kiev. An early kill for him, maybe using a little bit more utility than necessary to knock him out, but it gets the job done. More importantly, keeps Mousesports' players alive in full buys here at full utility too. But actually, this is interesting because now they're going to send more players towards Ivy after the first one kind of got destroyed. I think hoping that this CT-sided player defending it was kind of lulled into a false sense of security. However, that's not going to be the case. Stiko is still very much around Ivy and constantly checking it, along with the other choke points here too. Sees the action, lines him up, can only get one though. Gob B is there as he trades it back out. Oscar finding next, pushing from T-Con. Gob B going down there at Ivy, and then Legia, the last man standing, also getting knocked out pretty quickly there too. So very well handled once again by Mousesports. And we're just 6 rounds away from OT here.
Yeah, 1 away from double digits. I mean, maybe dreams can come true. We'll see. Can Mousesports really fulfill this huge order of having to come back from what was initially like a 13-2 or 12-3 scoreline and a lost second pistol. That would be massive. Now the rounds that Big did win, though, I don't think were very fluky. Like, they seem solid. So I would expect that on T side. They've still got a lot to show, and Mousesports are fully going to be expecting that.
Kiev trained on this angle here outside of the smoke. So if we do end up seeing Stiko try to fully peek that, then Kiev will almost for certain get the kill. Stiko's smart though, decides to back away from it just as the smoke was beginning to fade. So he'll put himself into his more normal position outside of Ivy here, and that is going to let Big, 2 players that they have there, walk up and take a tad bit of control. The thing that they'll actually use, though, is their players are actually falling back towards T-Con now, as that's where the bomb was left.
See, we actually have a lot of utility being thrown by Mousesports already. There is one person to come outside. That's Nex. He was a hero of the round. They did end up winning. They recover his gun. They take T-Con control. It's a huge trade. 4v5. and Big still have some smokes left for an execute, as well as a far back inner player that'll probably let the bomb go down.
I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen at least one player try to rotate inner just yet, considering that they have T-Con and Ivy fully under control, and they haven't seen anything trying to push from there.
Yeah, that's true.
They don't have anyone ladders. Maybe they're assuming it's from there. But yeah, they're going to burst into this site.
Oh,
the
they're
one player
running
they
through.
do
Where's
have
that bomb
inside,
going?
Rops is sitting way at the back of upper right now, so it basically just hands over control because Rops doesn't want to take this swipe with that position that he has. He needs that for the retake here now. It's a good thing that he holds and doesn't get aggressive, though, because he can get another kill, and it puts it into a 5v3 retake favored for Mousesports. But Big, at least get the plant going, and now they just have to look for this 3v5 clutch to win it. Gabi spotting these players at Z first. Bit of a distraction, and Oscar moves in and takes out Tabs, and Gabi's in a really bad spot now, and he'll easily fall, so it's on Kiev. A 1v5, gets the first kill, but falls afterwards, and it will give the round to Mousesports, 10-15.
Man, they had everything they wanted going for them there. They were going to be able to get into the site. No one was going to stop the plant. There was no counter nades available, and the rotates were extremely far, as you mentioned. Everybody was on the right side of outer, which is as far as you could possibly get. A lot of pressure on Oscar there to get the info without actually dying, and he couldn't do that. So now, and then because the bomb was the first person to run out, he was the one who kind of messed that up because he ran all the way down, and I was just watching the minimaps. I don't even know who it was, but he had to run back to plant the bomb, and then the only other player that pushed got killed, so they had no more control whatsoever, and they lost the man advantage as well. Well, they didn't have the man advantage, but they made that hole a little bit deeper, the 5v3.
Yeah, so now Big getting onto the buy again. They do have the 5 AKs once more. Still no op to be seen, but Mousesports going to get very aggressive, pushing all the way out from Ivy. There is, I believe, Kiev sitting way back watching for that, but without the op, he's not going to be so easy to take out some of these players and more, so he's kind of sitting here to set up the smoke. So Tabs can continue walking outside. He's actually been allowed to go very far because of the fact that they pushed aggressively on Ivy. Now he's going to walk in. Would have been amazing to see him get the second kill, but Nex will do the job just as fine. 2-for-1 trade to start off the round for Big, and they've got A-side control more importantly here. Mousesports, for the most part, have been flushed back out. They only have one guy at Z and one guy at back halls. Another guy, however, completing a flank because of that aggressive Ivy push, and Big are going to have to watch out for this. Kiev not checking his back right now. However, he changes it, looks around, but Stiko still gets the kill, and that swung open another door for Mousesports to retake this site and keep the game alive. Next as well, we'll get up on top here.
Critical position.
Trying to counter out the flank. He's getting flashed out quite a bit. However, Mousesports not even really starting this retake just yet, and they're running low on time. We can see them trying to push back in. There's those great flashes from Big again that takes out Chris J. And Rob's tagging onto it, trying to get players into the open. It's a quick headshot, unfortunately. Doesn't check from ladder, and that will seal the deal for Big, who take this map 16-10. And as such, we'll get to move forward into the semifinals on Sunday.
Masterfully done, and it's really nice to see Nex in good form, a critical player in those last couple of round wins on T side. Overall, everybody looks solid. I think underestimating Big was a bad idea. They definitely looked very good, and I think that it was really a lot of like Mousesports needing to find themselves in that first half, only figuring out that they need to switch up the tempo because their default wasn't thorough enough, and they weren't actually getting map control with the time they spent in the round. And letting the clock bleed down was a big issue for them, but overall, what a dominant performance from Big. Like, no luck involved.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of struggle on their T side to kind of get things going there and pick up that last gun round or two they needed to close out the actual map, but still very dominant stuff shown from them, especially in the first half, as you were mentioning there. Really just couldn't be challenged at all, and it took their opponents way too much time to adjust to that.
Yeah, and at that point, it's just a matter of making sure you prepare for a couple of really important rounds, close the game out, right? Like, once you've had such a fantastic first half, it takes a lot of pressure and weight off your shoulders, and you realize you can actually see that finish line, which is so important, I think.
And once again on that CT side too, Nex and Kiev were pretty much unstoppable. Towards the end of it, they were easily like 10 plus kills ahead of their next teammates. They were kind of neck and neck. I think Kiev specifically was able to get over 20 kills in the first half there, as he wasn't afraid to take any battle with the op. We would see him take some really aggressive fights. Most of the time he was winning them too, was really the craziest part, was his consistency, especially in the first half.
Yeah, we got to start calling him Big Iron. But it looks like we've got an interview on stage, so let's send it down to Paula.
We are free tomorrow. Nice.
You are indeed